Welcome back. And I am really excited for today. And I want to tell you about the inspiration for this video. There's two inspirations, one we'll get to. But the first one is that I'm I'm an investment advisor licensed, and uh, we have a group of advisors that meet weekly on Zoom. And really, it's more of a training for hiring practices, but every now and then we do a special event. And my favorite event that we do at least once a year is we call it the Leadership Library. That Leadership Library is what happens is that we have about 20 different advisors on there, and they get 1 to 2 minutes to talk about a book that's really affected them in a positive way. And it got me thinking last night. And again, because of the other reason that I'm doing this video today, which will be part of the first book that we go over. And I really just wanted to do a mind dump with you guys and show you some books that have really, really affected me personally, changed my life, put me on course to where I am today and where I'm going, which is very exciting to think about. I think if you anyone that self-develops, anyone that's a self-development junkie like I am, you really know if you think about your future and you're thinking positively, you're probably self-developing. If you're thinking about your future negatively, you're probably not reading. And if you take anything from today's video, please take that. Pick up a book, start reading. It could be any one of the books that we go over today, or maybe something that affects you. Um, a lot of people have different systems for how they pick books. Me, I prefer referrals. When I hear someone that I really respect, someone that I look up to, give a book suggestion. I have a saying that I say very often. So let's say you see someone having a lot of success with something that you want to do. Their opinion should be your fact. So if they tell you to read a certain book, then you should read that book. My opinion. Maybe my opinion is your fact today. I don't know. Maybe it's not. But I just hope that maybe, just maybe, you pick up one of these books today and maybe it'll change your life. Okay. And you can you can see all the misspellings in this thumbnail. Yeah, that was a that was AI generated, just to let you know. So let's get with the first one. And the first book. Now, I've always been an avid reader. My favorite book of my favorite fiction book of all time is really Sherlock Holmes: The Complete Works by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So all of the Sherlock Holmes books, I try to read that as often as I can. I've made it through completely at least twice, but I'll pick it up and read one of the books here and there. I really don't have a Sherlock Holmes story I dislike. But what really started my journey of self-development was I worked for the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I was a corrections officer for 14 years before my current career. And there was a class that they offered called situational leadership. And two very important things happened because of this class. Number one, part one of this class was a week long, and they gave you this book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. They gave us the book and the workbook, and we worked through it that entire week. Um, and one of the things I picked up from that one is it's okay to really make mistakes. It's not really one of the laws of leadership, but it talks about it in this book. It's okay to make mistakes, but you have to move forward with it. So that's the second reason for today's video. I don't think I've ever uploaded 2 days in a row ever. Okay. So why am I doing it today? Because we had an upload yesterday and today. So yesterday I record that first solo podcast, and I really like the solo podcast style. I like that vlog style. I think it's almost a lost art form because editing has really made some of those vlogs more entertainment based. But I record the Big Bang Theory video yesterday, edit it. So when you edit things down, and really my editing is just throwing in the ads and maybe you don't really, I think I did it very well. If I make a mistake in it, I go back, edit it out and put it on, right? So I record it. You have to watch it again while you're editing it because you have to find where you need to put the ads and stuff like that. And so I record it, happy with it. I'm happy with it when I edit it. And then we did the premiere last night and I watched it. And my wife comes up to me and she goes, "How'd you like the podcast?" I didn't like it. I didn't like the video yesterday. I really didn't. After I'd watched it 3 times, I got through it and I was just like, man, I wasn't happy with it. And so when you're not happy with something, generally you have an itch to do something better. And that's what today's is. And so that 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, it's okay to make mistakes as long as you move forward. Okay. As long as you move forward, you make corrections and go forward. And this is me, in my opinion, correcting a mistake. Now, I got some positive feedback from the, like 11 people that watched that video. They liked it. They're all Big Bang Theory fans. Cool. Happy for them. But I just wasn't happy with it. Now, unrelated to this book, the second part of that situational leadership was they sent us to a seminar where there was all these different business leaders speaking. Kurt Warner was there. Just a lot of people. I'm almost bottlenecking because there's so many great little quips. I still have the notes to this day that I wrote down there. But I got to meet 2 people that I've looked up to my entire life. Steve Forbes and Colin Powell. 2 people that I never thought I'd have the opportunity to meet. And that's probably a video for another time on the people that I've met and how they've inspired me and poured belief into me. But it was just an incredible event. So when you get opportunities to take leadership classes at your job or anywhere, take it. Don't be afraid to pay for some of this leadership stuff too. I paid, I mean, what really led to my current career is I paid for an investment workshop that really taught me some of the fundamentals of investing, and other people saw themselves making money by being one of their clients. I saw a business opportunity and turned it into a business. So, leadership opportunities present themselves a lot. I want you to develop that muscle memory to always take advantage of them. Okay. So let's get into this. So 21 irrefutable laws of leadership was my start gate into self-development. And I'm just so happy that that happened because I really felt like that book affected me in a positive way and it sent me down. Now, I'm only going to go over a few books today out of the many, many, many that I've read. These ones are things I think about sometimes daily from some of the books that we're going to cover today. So let's get into the first one here. And again, I don't know why it did this. Okay. The art of selling to the affluent, how to attract, service, and retain wealthy customers for life. Okay. So that book, I want to tell you a story about getting this book. And by the way, you can find them yourselves. I'm not an Amazon affiliate. So there's no links in the description for these books. That's why I'm just on Amazon. It's the easiest way to buy them. Art of Selling to the Affluent. tell you a story about this book. So I bought the audio version of this book because I was flying somewhere. I was going to a seminar somewhere, and it was across the country. So I jump on this plane. I'm sitting in first class. I love to sit in first class. I just like to feel comfortable. That's the only reason. And plus, I like to be able to get on and off the plane pretty quickly. So I'm sitting in first class, listening to an audiobook. I did get the cheap first class seat, so I'm sitting in the middle. And a couple comes in. Now, a couple, they come in, and one sits on the outside, one sits on the inside. And in first class, I think anybody on a plane, at some point, you're going to start up a conversation, right? So I'm reading this book. I had just started my brokerage, just started my business. And part of it there is you need to have a uniform. Now, if you see me now, shockingly, also yesterday, it was just so cold, I had to pull over and put it on. But if you see me, I'm always in a long sleeve black shirt. I'm very simple when it comes to my wardrobe. I think the black shirt kind of goes with everything. You could put a blazer over it, or you could put a sweater vest over it. You can wear it by itself. But I didn't have that uniform then. So I'm flying across the country to a business seminar. And during this book, it talks about you need to have a uniform. You need to dress to impress. You need to have uh, professional looking clothing all the time because you never know who you're going to bump into. I'm wearing, I think, a purple athletic polo shirt and basketball shorts. And I'm sitting in between two multimillionaires that, we'll just say they own a ranch. I'll just put it like that. And we're having great conversation. I'm telling them what I do, and I catch that the wife kind of looks at me up and down, and I really felt like she was kind of judging me based on what I was wearing. I didn't take it as an insult. I took it as a mistake on my part. I needed to dress better. So now when I fly, I dress for the flight. I dress like it's a client appointment. Not suit and tie, again, long sleeve black shirt, but I might have something over it, and I'm dressed decently to the point of professionally anytime that I fly because you're going to attract business. Uh, Hilariously, I bought clothes while I'm at this event for the flight home and ended up in first class next to another business leader on the way back that was also dressed professionally. So it was a good tail end to it. So it really did change the course. It was one of the first things that really steered me, changed the course on the success that we're having today. By you are your own advertisement. You listen, if you want to own a business, you need to dress professionally. Now, there are exceptions to every rule, but those exceptions have to come with their own balance of luck. They really do. You really can't be Popeye in business. You can't be I am as I am. If you want to be successful, well, if you're not successful right now, then you have to accept right now that you need to change because you are not going to go. You will never achieve that success if you're unwilling to change. I can't drive that point home. You need to be willing to change. There are going to be elements of you that change and grow. And Stone Cold Steve Austin was doing an interview. Okay, he was doing an interview, and he talked about how his boss at the time was always willing to do anything that he was asking his people to do. So, and that was he's a wrestler, so okay, I want you to jump off the top of a cage, so I need to be willing to jump off the top of a cage. So you need to be willing to change and grow with anything. And I think when you watch movies, I think all of us have seen movies, right? We might have actors that we float towards and seeing their movies. You're going to see that they change with the times as well. I think a great example of that is wrestling because you have to constantly reinvent yourself to be entertaining. So, The Art of Selling to the Affluent by Matt Oxley, his name is Matt Oxley. Um, Absolutely great book, highly recommend. And I'm probably going to say that about every book because I do recommend that you read all of these. This could be a 1 or 2 year um, journey for you reading all these books, but totally, totally worth it. This book also led to a lot of success. This is Book Yourself Solid. I managed to sneak onto a webinar with Mike Port. Bald Brothers Unite. I know he's got hair in this photo. It's like the only photo of him with hair that I can find. He's a fellow bald man as well now. So welcome to the club, Michael. Book Yourself Solid. I think if you're opening a business that is appointment based, where you're meeting with people, this is a necessary read. Let me repeat that. If you have an appointment based business, this is a necessary read for success. One of the most talked about elements of this book is Michael Port's red velvet rope policy. You are the muscle in front of the nightclub that is your business. And you're controlling that red velvet rope. And you get to judge everybody based on how they talk, how they look, everything. And you get to decide whether you open that red velvet rope or not. It really started getting me focused on what my target market was versus trying to sell to everyone. If you're watching this, more than likely you've at least watched some of the early videos of Shark Tank. Now, Shark Tank has really just become a very high-level business show now because they're talking about, Schedule A funding and all that stuff. But in the beginning, you had entrepreneurs with great ideas going out there and also wannabe entrepreneurs with really bad ideas. And I love something that Mark Cuban said or responded to. So one of these entrepreneurs, and probably several times this has happened, somebody goes out there and goes, there's 300 million people. If we can just get 1% of the people in this country to buy this product, we're all going to be multi-trillionaires. And he goes, you have no idea who you're selling to yet. You don't have a target market. Okay. You need to have a target market. And this was one of the few things that really helped me focus on isolating that target market and working with them. And so everything I do, including this video, is targeted to really engage with what I believe is my target market. But now, am I going to say what my target market is? No. But if you get something out of this video, it might be you, you know? And you can see, going back to where I started this video, you can see I'm a little bit more excited. This is something I'm more excited to talk about, and that was probably what I disliked most about the video yesterday. It wasn't something I was passionate to talk about. It was something that I wanted to know for myself. I thought that might relate to a good video. In my opinion, I was wrong. If you like the video, I'm happy for you. I'm not dissing it, but I like this subject matter more, if that's okay with you, right? So Book Yourself Solid, the red velvet rope policy. Get the workbook. Listen to some of the podcasts and interviews with Michael Port as well. They're all kind of different layers of his Book Yourself Solid system. Great book. Absolutely great book. Thank you, Michael, so much for writing it. Really changed my life. I have struggled with developing personal relationships my entire life. I will continue to struggle with the hopes of getting much, much better in the future. How to talk to anyone. Lael Lowndes wrote this book. When she wrote it the first time, as far as I know, it was 62 tips on big success in relationships. It's now 92. She added 30 to them. I still have my 62 version. The one that sticks out the most, I can have a conversation with anyone. If I meet somebody, I'm going to find some common interest and we're going to have a conversation. And the reason for that is this book. There's something called the law of gobbledygook. You don't need to know everything about everything, but you need to know enough about everything that you can have a conversation with it. And so I just absolutely love having conversations with people and finding a common interest and then building a relationship from there. My biggest tip for this book would be to get the audio version first. The reason for that is I want you to really hear, because Lael, at least in the 62 tips version, did the recording herself. And I want you to really hear her inflections on how she says it, not just what she's saying. This book opens the door to so many new relationships that you can have out there. And in business, that's very, very important, is finding commonalities. Um, when you work in, especially in the financial industry like I do, you do find that a lot of people are polarized left or right politically. And I like to think that I can have good conversations with both sides, even if we have absolutely different opinions politically. You've got to find commonalities to have good conversations with people. Um, having a little bit of humor and being a little humble in that humor, poking a little fun at yourself, not in a bad way, is a great way to be a good icebreaker. But I think that's a good word to describe this book, is that um, it's a great icebreaker book. Plus, it helps me determine whether I want to work with someone or not. I'll give you an example. So, and you'll hear this word a couple times through some of the other books, but there's something in business called prospecting, where you're going out there and you're creating new connections, you're creating new friendships, new relationships out there. And I will sit down with someone and have a conversation with them, or be standing in line somewhere. And I really want to get to a point where I can ask a question of someone is, um, gosh, you really got some people skills. What do you do for a living? And they'll go into what they do for a living. If they don't ask me what I do, the conversation's probably going to end. They're not interested in me. You are your biggest advertisement in business. You are. If someone's not interested in you, move on. I've said many times, I'm not trying to change a no, I'm trying to find a yes. Okay? If you're going to be successful in business or in any venture, you need to accept right now that rejection is just part of it. And it's going to be a very, very, very large part of it. You're going to get rejected 3 to 10 times for every one yes in most business ventures. Just sell out to it. Rejection has nothing to do with you. Okay? It's just that it might not be the right time for them right now. I don't close the door on a lot of people. One of the most common things I'll say to somebody that tells me no is the door's open for another conversation whenever you're ready. There's maybe 5 people in my life that I've ever cut off permanently because they were very toxic. But the majority of people, I at least keep the door open for a conversation. I mean, if someone, I don't really have like an arch enemy, right? But if someone that I do not have a positive relationship with, that I do not want to talk to, calls me, I'm probably still going to pick up the phone. You never know what might be on the other end of the line. And in one of those cases where someone I had a very, very toxic relationship with for years called me up one day and apologized out of the blue. I can't imagine how I would have felt if I missed that call, because I don't think that would have been a voicemail. It would have been a text. And I don't think they would have had another humble cycle enough to give me that phone call. So just some thoughts on this book. Another great book that I hope you pick up, that I hope you listen to and learn. There's a lot of great books by Art Williams. I think every book by Art Williams is great. I love that Pushing Up People, which I highly debated. I only really wanted to feature one author per, for each one of these, and it was a big debate whether Pushing Up People or the A.O. Williams Way was going to be for me. And A.O. Williams Way, I really like functionality. If you're opening a business, this is one of the, again, a people-based business. And what do I mean by that? A people-based business where you're meeting with people on Zoom, one-on-one, on the phone, where you're having individualized conversations with people. This is the most functional book that I've ever read in that case. This book, so what happens was that Art Williams built an amazing business for years. It originally formed as A.L. Williams, named it after himself, which probably is the biggest thing. Like if you look me up, my business is called Pino Team. And the reason is that Art Williams built a huge business and they were all working for a business that he named after himself. So don't be afraid to be the figurehead of your business. Okay. There are exceptions to that. The first one you're thinking about right now is Apple. Apple, Steve Jobs didn't name the Apple Corporation, later on Apple Inc., after himself. He named it Apple. The joke being is that it came before Atari in the phone book. But uh, this one, he made so many. He didn't per se write this book. This was a put together of notes and trainings that he did in his own business over the course of 10 or 15 years in the early beginnings of his company. And then he put it all into one book. So I mean, they're all formatted differently. I have it sitting right over there right now. It's on my other desk. And they're all formatted differently. You could tell that, some of them were written on like napkins, so the fonts are like stretched out and stuff like that. It's hilarious. If you are OCD, it's going to be a nightmare for you, but it's so functional. Like it is one of the most functional books I've ever seen. And I'm not comparing it to the Bible, but there is a similarity here. Is that I really think you can just pick up a Bible, open it to any random page, and you're going to find something of value. Very similar here. You can pick up this book, open to any page, and you're going to find something of value that's going to help you grow your business. So definitely pick up that book. Absolutely amazing read. If you are building a financial services business, this is necessary. Howard Lashner is one of the top investment advisors in the world, in the country. Okay. And he wrote this book. I've had the opportunity to meet Howard many times. Just such a humble, great person. The last time I met Howard, he attended an advisor's workshop. They had no intent, he wasn't on the speaker's docket, but he's also one of the number one advisors on the planet, right? So the people putting together the event, they're like, oh my God, Howard Lashner's in the room. Should we give him some time? No. The question isn't should we, is how much time should we give him if he's willing to speak? And he was very humble to go up there, share his love for the industry, share inspiring stories. It was absolutely amazing. Taking pictures with everybody. And what made me so mad, Howard, if you're seeing this, I always bring a book when I travel, either an audio book that I'm going to focus on and listen to on there, or a paperback book because they're easy to move around. And this is paperback. This one was on my desk to take, and I chose another book. And then Howard was there, and I wished I had brought the book because I know he would have autographed it for me and left me a loving, caring note in the beginning. But 10 Common Mistakes Financial Advisors. I'm going to tell you why I bought this book. So I have a friend named Joe, and Joe also very successful investment advisor. And he's speaking to a group of like 500 advisors one day. And Joe goes, if you want to have success in business, you need a system. And Howard Lashner put the system into a book. Why would we do anything else? And that's exactly what we do. It's kind of my reference. It's sitting right here, right now. I constantly go back to that book to pick up tips on growing a successful financial services business. So if you're specifically growing a financial services business, an advisory business, I think any type of advisory business, this book is just very, very necessary for you. And I hope you pick it up. I hope you read it. It's short. It's a very short book. You could read this in a day or two. But another tip that I can give you when it comes to reading a book is every time you read a physical book, use a different colored highlighter. So I've gone through this book a couple times, and the first time I highlight anything, I use yellow, and then I, switch to like green or pink or orange. Orange is kind of tough on the eyes when you're highlighting stuff, at least in my opinion. It's so funny when you're reading through a book and you read this book 3 or 4 times, and then you read something and it just hits you, but it's not highlighted. It just shows that you're growing. If you're finding new value in books that you've already read, it's really showing that you're growing as a person, which is absolutely amazing. So definitely, definitely pick up 10 common mistakes financial advisors make and simple ideas on how to avoid them. This is a fiction book by Andy Andrews. And I'm going to tell you right now, um, I can't say I've read, there's a good possibility I've read every scripture in the Bible, but I'm not going to go out there and say I've read the entire Bible because there's a good possibility there's some stuff I've missed too. I've never cried reading the Bible. I cried reading this book. Cried. This one rattled my soul. So good. Just an amazing life lesson on valuing your own life and valuing the relationships around you. Just, I'm serious. Most people that know me, I'm not really an emotional guy. So I have a box of tissues ready. It's an amazing book. The character David Ponder feels like a total failure, and I think we all go through phases of our life where we feel like that. Um, and in a circumstance, he finds himself traveling through time, meeting some of the great people that are prepared to have a conversation with him. And it's just the every part of this book made me cry. Man, I felt like we're talking about Big Bang Theory yesterday. I felt like Raj. Like I felt really good after a good cry, right? It stunk crying during it though, man. But it is such a good book. I love that it's got to read this. It is such a good book. I can't say it enough. Great fiction. And I do think you need to mix it up in your reading and add not just functionality books like so far what we've talked about, but add some fiction in there as well, because you need to use those different parts of your brain. It can't just be always the same time because you really become numb to some of the education. A lot of self-development books do have some characteristics that came from other books, right? So you're going to see a lot of things that are repeated. It's okay because there's still going to be points of value in there. But this book, I mean, everything I read in there, I really hadn't read or heard before, and it made my little heart go pitter patter. I'm almost emotional thinking about it because it's all still in there. It's all still in there. This is a good time to to take a break for a second and tell you a really kind of obscure reference. Um, for many, many centuries, they thought the stars up there in the sky, the real stars, those far away points of light, were stagnant and never moved because they would make a star chart every year or every other year, and all the stars looked like they were in the same position. But then somebody, maybe it was Herschel, I could be wrong, somebody decided, hey, let's go look at a star chart from 300 years ago. And all the stars were in different positions. Wait, those things are moving. If you look day to day, the stars aren't moving. But if you look over the course of time, they're definitely out there in a blender, right? You are not going to immediately see change after reading these books. But over the course of time, you will notice dramatic tectonic shifts in your self development, your self belief, your tenacity, your moxie. You are going to see these massive shifts in how you talk to people, how you treat your business, how you treat your family is just, and this book is one of those things that will affect you personally. and just absolutely amazing. And I don't understand why there's only 4.5 stars there. Whoever gave it less than 5 stars is lying. Such an amazing book. You've probably been suggested this book before, The Five Love Languages. There's probably multiple people that have told you to read this book. Read the damn book. Okay. Um, if for anything, this book teaches you not just how to communicate with the people that love you and that you love, but also really, really, how do I put this? It teaches you how to better communicate with everyone in your life. Because everybody wants something, whether they know it themselves or not, but everybody wants to feel loved. And if you don't know their love language, you're never going to be able to 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 really connect with them. You have to figure out what their love language is. Mine, I very simply, and probably related to why I do this on YouTube, mine is words of affirmation. You want to make me cry? Say some nice things. I can, yeah. I don't care about somebody giving me a big check for my services or any big awards. You see a lot of financial advisors with their, I love me wall, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Their love language is gifts. And there's nothing wrong with any of those love languages. Mine is words of affirmation. I don't care about big awards, but if somebody goes up there and like I've name dropped a few people that have inspired me, if I'm in an event and somebody name drops me as somebody that had a positive effect on their life, man, gets me every time. Really does. And words of affirmation is definitely mine. You got to go find out what yours is too, because I didn't know that was me. I thought for a long time that I was gifts because that's how a lot of the people around me's love language was gift giving or gift receiving. And that's definitely not me. I tell people, I go, I don't, number one, I don't buy gifts for anybody because for me, it always turns bad. Okay. And I tell people, you don't have to buy me any gifts, right? I love relationships. So if I have an event, the biggest gift you can give me is your time. And by being there, if I want something, I just go buy it. I don't, "Oh, hey, here's what I want for my birthday." I'll put stuff in my Amazon cart. Every now and then, my wife will see stuff in that Amazon cart and she purchases it for me as a nice little surprise, but I picked it, right? And yes, I am totally that husband and father that I find out what I bought them when they open the gift. Because on anniversaries and birthdays for my wife, I'll say, yeah, yeah, what'd you get yourself? Or what did I get you? You know? So five love languages. If you need to improve your personal relationships, which you do, everybody needs to improve their personal relationships. This book, a necessary read. Let's get back into some functionality. I'd be if you're watching this, I would be shocked if you've never heard of this book. The 4-Hour Work Week. And there's going to be a couple books that reference the same idea of having a system in place to have your success. How can I, you see people that, there's different YouTubers out there that of course have much more professional operations, but they have, editors and they have this amazing system where they can make a professionally done hour-long video, record it, edit it, put in the music, animation, everything, and have it on YouTube the same day. And it probably wasn't that way in the beginning. I'm going to refer you to a YouTube channel called Captain Disillusion, and he's done some motivational educational talks that he's also uploaded to his channel. Now, the thing about Alec Melekjanian that runs the Captain Disillusion channel is that dude is always in character. That guy is in character more than professional wrestlers. Okay. Um, Alec is either portraying the character of Alec the assistant or the character Captain Disillusion all the time. There's very few examples where he breaks character. He did the Corridor Crew. He did a video with them where he jumped out of character, but there's a couple times in there where he jumps back into it too. And then, but there's two very long talks he did where he was at YouTube conferences, or one was a YouTube conference, the other one was a Blender conference. And one of them, he's in character the entire time. And the other one, he did jump out of character, but still jumped into character a couple times. So the reason I bring those up is these guys have systems, but the way they develop their systems is by trying new things. So how can I record a video, edit it down, put the ads in and all that stuff? Because I have a system for it. That system works for me. I'm not saying it's the right system. It's a system that works for me. And books like this help you develop simple systems so that you can get faster and faster to your success. But systems will only come after you have positive daily habits. Okay. So these books are great, but you need to have systems for yourself too, starting with waking up at the same time every day, no matter what's going on. This is a recent edition. So we've talked already today about books that help me really focus on a target market. Not only does 10x is easier than 2x, not only does it help you focus on your target market, it helps you engage with your target market. So again, going back to it, everything I do, I can tell you right now, I have hundreds, multi-hundreds of clients, but I have about 50 that are my VIP clients. Everything I do is designed to engage with them because those are the clients I want to duplicate. Now, of course, there's going to be filtration. There's going to be it's going to branch off into different referrals where you end up working with a lot of people. And thank God I have a business. I have other people that can work with some of those people that I don't think that I might work with. And my team loves that. I'll call them up and say, hey, I've got somebody. I think that you'd connect with them better than me. I want you to just take this client. You don't have to give me anything. Okay. Just go do a great job with this client because I think they're going to work best with them. But I also know who I work best with, where I get to do my best work with. And this book, again, it's one of those ones where it's already got a couple different colors of highlighter in it, right? But this book really helped me focus down on my target market and get better at engaging with that target market and finding those clients that I really, really want to work with, right? Now I'm at a point in my career that everybody I sit down with, I'm excited to sit down with. I can't say that my first 7 years in business was like that. There was plenty of appointments where I dreaded the appointment, not because of my fear, not because of rejection, it's because I didn't want to work with them. And now I only work with the people I want to work with. I'm excited when my phone rings. I'm excited when a client calls me. I'm excited when I get a client email. Very excited for that. And also, every now and then I'll fire a client. The relationship isn't working out. I have a role in this relationship. I'm an advisor. If I'm not fulfilling that role, I'm probably going to fire that client. So 10x is easier than 2x. Dan Sullivan and Ben. And the other part is a lot of people see this and think it's a Grant Cardone book. It's not. It just happens to say 10x in there. I've got a couple Grant Cardone books in my library. They're all pretty good. They all have something of value, but to me, if uh, this is my 10x book right here, this book right here has significantly made me a much more productive business leader and advisor. I know, right? If you know me personally, the fact that I have a Hollywood celebrity book on here should be shocking to you. But I'm going to tell you why I have this. Um, I'm not the I've got nothing against her. I'm not the biggest Mindy Kaling fan. I can't think of really a movie with her that is on a list of rewatchable movies for me. Nothing against her personally, it's just her entertainment style is not what I'm looking for. But this book was good. I can't really tell you why I got it, but I'm glad I did. In this book, you know what? I'm going to open up personally right now, too. Okay. In this book, she tells a story about going to lunch with Reese Witherspoon, and Mindy Kaling was having a bad day. What kind of bad day a Hollywood celebrity can have? I don't know. I do know part of that story was her extensions weren't right in her hair. Anyways, she's having a bad day, devastating to her. Sorry if it sounds like I'm bashing on her. I just not a big fan of Hollywood celebrities, but it doesn't mean there's not something of value in this book. So she's at lunch with Reese Witherspoon. Mindy's having a bad day. Reese, I don't know what type of day she's having, but what she says gives you a good idea. It's in short. Reese asked her, what's wrong with you? I'm having a bad day. Well, fix your face. Why? And she points out to a crowd of people, probably the paparazzi, looking through the window, seeing celebrities having lunch, taking pictures in the TMZ, the 30 mile zone around Hollywood, right? And she goes, those people aren't going to watch your movies if they see you mad in here. You need to be happy all the time. Okay? Me today, I'm having a personally very challenging day. I really am. Okay? And I'm not going to give any details on it, but I'm having a very challenging day. But if you talk to me, you can't tell. And anytime I have to do that, I think of this book. So it's worth it. This book was worth it to me. Now, somebody's probably saying, well, these are tips you should know. Well, the thing is, were you thinking about this stuff before it came up? Yeah, you might know it, but sometimes you have to hear it and read it in order to enact it in your life. Most of these books are not going to tell you anything you don't already know, but you have to read them in order to implement them. Okay? So look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk frustrated that going to space was a government operation. And I worked for the government. I told you that. I worked for the federal government for years. Watching paint dry sometimes was faster and more entertaining than getting something moving. I remember we work in prison and we needed a camera to protect the inmates and our staff, right? Because, lots of things happen. And you would think getting a camera in a certain spot, we discovered a blind spot, so we need a new camera. Just to install a camera, literally needed to go to a Senate committee because it was considered screwing 4 holes for a camera in the side of a building was altering the construction of a government building and needed a Senate hearing, a Senate committee hearing to be approved. Okay? Don't have that complex of a system for change in your life. You need to read these books in order to implement those changes quickly. Okay? How to win friends and influence people. I float somewhere on the spectrum, more than likely. And personal relationships have always been a challenge for me. I've never had a lot of friends. I've never had a big group of friends. But I would like to. I really would. But I have always had trouble developing personal relationships. This is a book that Yesterday I talked about sometimes in the background I'll play a TV show in the background because I don't really listen to music. This is one of those books that I'll put on in the background sometimes when I'm doing something else because every now and then you'll just pick something up. I know I run a business where it's a personal relationships business. So you have to outwork your problems, right? You have to outwork your errors. You have to outwork the problems that you have in your life. Okay. I'm not really good at developing friends, so I need to work that much harder in the beginning to find and develop relationships because I'm not as good as it as most people. I'm probably in a very low percentage probably very low ranked in how to build personal relationships. I'll never teach anybody how to develop a personal relationship. I'll refer them to this book. To one of those books that you've heard of 1,000 times that you probably haven't picked up yet. Let this be the trigger that you get this book and read it, especially if you're trying to open a business. Especially, I mean, everything. Um, you do see, and this is on YouTube, so you probably hope. Hey, if this is your first YouTube video ever that you've ever seen, welcome to YouTube, right? But more than likely, it's not. More than likely, you have other channels that you've subscribed to, and that's probably a future video on what I'm subscribed to on YouTube and why. Um, but you'll notice that in the early beginnings of YouTubers, when they're less than maybe 500,000 subscribers, they're in the comments after every video, replying, liking, who's going to get pinned, right? Starting conversations. But then they reach a point that because the only thing that really doesn't affect your income on YouTube is comments. Watch time, likes versus dislikes, your place in the algorithm, that's what gets you paid on YouTube. Um, Comments, zero effect, but it is engagement. And sometimes it makes me sad, but I'm also happy for them at the same time. But it makes me sad. Um, I've got maybe friend. We're friends on Facebook. Max Miller runs Tasting History, great channel. Had a had a had a great video today. Had the opportunity to meet Max, and I've been subscribed to Max since maybe he had 100,000 subscribers, and now he's pushing 3, 4, 5 million subscribers. It makes me sad when some of those YouTubers stop really engaging in the comments, but also I'm happy for them because they've got millions of subscribers. They're leading their dream life. And every now and then I'll send a note to Max just wishing him well, happy for his success. Go check out his channel. I mean, it's just a guy really passionate about history and food, right? History and food. And I should have put the picture. We took a picture together. He's from the Phoenix area. We took a picture together and should have put that on there. Anyways, let's continue on. Oh. How to hire A players. Are you building a business? You got to hire people. This book really helps you identify qualities in people to find out if they want. Now, going back to something I said earlier, where I start the conversation, ask them all about themselves, and if they don't ask me what I do for a living, um, I don't pursue the relationship. That is different layers of something that I got from this book. I'm identifying an inquisitive nature, and if they don't have it, I probably don't want to work with them. In my style of business, you need to have an inquisitive nature. You need to be able to ask a lot of questions in a very professional way, not make it seem like it's an interrogation, which is one of the things I struggled with in my first 7 years. My client interviews felt like interrogations. I had more than one person tell me that. Um, Still, I outworked my problems. I sat down with enough people that that they just dealt with me, right? But now I'd like to think I'm a much better version of myself. And I've had clients that have worked with me for over a decade now, and um, and they, man, you've really changed. Well, thank you, thank you. I like that. A lot of people, most people's conversations are about other people, and most of those conversations are positive, right? It's okay to talk about other people in a positive way, right? And I love that conversation because it makes me think they're having conversations about me with their friends and family and the people they're closest with, and that might lead to referrals. So, but how to hire A players, um, really being able to identify talent because there's something you need to know right now. How you do anything is how you do everything. No exceptions. How you do anything is how you do everything. If you are hitting snooze on your alarm in the morning, you're hitting snooze on everything in your life. That's not in this book, but I'm glad it came up. If someone asks me what the best gift my wife has ever given me is, it's this book. I'm a very strong Christian. I'm also former law enforcement. I need evidence. This book, it just makes me so mad. The one that make the like, there's so much archaeological proof of the events of the Bible, and now even Old Testament. Like they found Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities that were destroyed by God in the Old Testament. They found those cities after this book came out, but there's so much archaeological proof in the Bible. It is one of the most archaeological, factual books. Don't let the media, don't let its, not being allowed. It's so funny. My kid can go to school and learn about the gods of every other civilization and country, but the most important book that's ever been written, they can't get in their school. Well, and not in public school, right? Um, but this one, man, you can open up to any page. There's just so much good evidence. There's so much proof. There's so much history in the Bible. Such an amazing time period of change. I mean, it's the catalyst for really turning the world, into countries that were anti-Christian, ancient Rome, for example, persecuting Christians, becoming the number one Christian nation in the world at the time, right? Just such a catalyst for change. If you like evidence, and I will throw something out just as a Christian, like you might have, and again, I'm not dogging any different Bibles, but like when you find an NASB Bible, and that's another good little history lesson there is different versions of the Bible and why they exist. An NASB Bible it's just the words of the Bible, usually with zero context. And a lot of Bibles are like that. I really think if you are really, really trying to become a Christian, I think you need a study Bible. I think you need to see someone else's perspective on how they're interpreting some of the things said. Because one thing I don't like about the media is they try and use the Bible against Christians, and they'll take one scripture out of context. And the biggest way that the Bible is taken out of context is that they use the Old Testament for everything. Jesus came to us and we got a new interpretation. Before Jesus, we thought, like with when the when the blood of when the blood of Abel screamed, "Avenge me," right? They thought the Old Testament was about vengeance and retribution and defending yourself. And we found out when Jesus showed up, the Bible's really about forgiveness. And especially all the amazing evidence, archaeological evidence in the New Testament in this one. Oh, my favorite gift I've ever received, honestly. And I hope that if you read a Bible that you pick this one up. From the Bible to getting naked. Great transition, right? This book has nothing to do with taking off your clothes. I literally had a client conversation today, and I always disclose, we really don't, by the way, we really don't have to in the industry, but I always disclose how much I would get paid for working with a different product with them. The reason I say that is I want them to see everything. I want to stand in front of them naked and they see everything, all the good stuff, all the flaws, everything in regards to what we're doing. Um, um, we were really developing, we had to develop a new app for our clients. And in the early stages of that, it was like a year long growth period. The website was lacking functionality. The app was just another browser to only bring them to that website, right? And I said, listen, I would tell people our app just isn't there yet, but it doesn't mean our services, the service that you get from me isn't there. We're developing and growing the app, but the service is going to just continue to be good and continue to get better. And so many people that their first journey into sales, they avoid talking about some of their flaws when honestly talking about them could be the greatest sales pitch you have. Because I'll tell you right now, if you're working with a high value client, they're probably going to Google you beforehand, right? I don't mind Googling myself in front of them, Googling my company. I don't even need to bring up the positive reviews. I'm going to bring up the negative ones. Okay. Um, and talk about them and talk about those unique cases. Don't be afraid to talk about your flaws with people, with clients, with in life. I mean, I shared with you earlier, I'm having a personally challenging day today. You won't be able to tell in this video. Some people are going to think, oh, he probably stubbed his toe. No, I'm having a very personally challenging day today. The reason I say that, I don't mind you knowing that. So, Getting Naked, another great book. Now, I will give this disclaimer, and this has nothing against Patrick Lencioni. This wouldn't, out of all these books, this would not be my first buy. If I had to buy all these books, it wouldn't be my first read, but I would definitely get to it. How to Master the Art of Selling. I'll tell you one thing from this book that really, really changed me. Tom Hopkins, real estate mogul, promoter, self-developer, public speaker, really amazing guy. He writes thank you. He gives a story in his book that he writes thank you or a thank you message on all of his business cards before he hands them out. And he also gives a script. You'll notice that I've already written thank you on there. I wrote thank you before our meeting because I knew it was going to be a great meeting, or words to that effect. That's how I interpreted what he said. Now I've had to do other things because no one on this earth will be able to read my handwriting. Doctors look at me and say, "Man, your handwriting's horrible." So I find different ways to leave a personal note on a business card, but I still leave a personal note on a business card. That and many, many other tips Prospecting, this is another great one for prospecting, especially in-person prospecting, because all this was written before social media. So it's about going out there and forming new connections with people. Just again, an amazing book that I hope that you pick up. Yeah, the book is good. There's also an audio version where it was actually from a public seminar he did on how to master the art of selling. Just another good buy if you want to get that one. This book is huge. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that right now. This book is huge. Very long book. This one, I think this one's abridged because this one is only 160 pages. But this book in its entirety is actually very huge. The audio version of this book, I think, is like 16 hours. Okay, this book's huge. So many great, really, I think we all need to have leadership, but if you truly want to have a sense of honor in your own leadership, this book will help with that. Listening to that and being an honorable person. An honorable person is somebody that you look up to. Don't be afraid to be looked up to. We have a saying in the advisory business is that if you want to be advisor, don't be afraid of advisory pay. A lot of us get paid very well for what we do, and your income will directly be related to your self-development. Your production will be directly related to your self-development. So I hope that you pick this book up. By all means, pick up like an abridged version like this one. You will still get the content out of it. If you want to get the full version, go right ahead. But the abridged, the shorter versions, there's even an audio version that's, I think, 15 minutes long that still has amazing value in it. And actually have that recording of that 15-minute version on my playlist. So, Book of Five Rings, great book. The Cash Flow Quadrant. So Robert Kiyosaki, who's best known as the rich dad guy, right? Robert Kiyosaki wrote this book, and he breaks down the legal forms to develop income into the quadrant. Let's break it down. That way you get a little teaser of this book. First one is being an employee. Your income is based on the position, not your value, not the service you provide. It's determined by the position, and that's it. That's the only money you'll ever make. Most people have been an employee at some point, but it's where you are not an asset, you are an expense. If your business is going to, if they're going to get the light shut off because they can't afford the electric bill, are they going to have less product, or are they going to get rid of you? They're going to get rid of you. You're an expense to your company. If you're in a job that you love, power to you. But it doesn't change the fact that you're first here on the cash flow quadrant. A lot of people get this one wrong. They think it stands for self-employed. No, the S stands for small business. Okay? So let's just talk about the difference between small business and big business. Okay? If you need to be there for the day-to-day operations for you to make money for your business, it's still a small business. If you don't need to be there for your business to generate income for you, you have a big business. So a lot of people confuse that with being self-employed because they think that as soon as they have a team or a staff that they're no longer self-employed. No, you're still self-employed in your own business. You just have some people that work for you. Great. But the only way to get to big business is to get through small business. If you're building it yourself, you have to start off with a small business. And small business problems are different than big business problems. Small business problems, you're hoping you don't get a call from a lawyer, right? You know, big business problems. Everything you do, you go through an attorney first. You know, it's I think it's funny comparison, right? But small business. So of course it's going to have smaller income than big business. Big business, you have a system in place. And this is where you see these founders and CEOs of other companies that branch off, and it's almost like everything they touch turns to success. It's just because they have a system that works for them that they use everywhere. I want to refer you. They're on Instagram, TikTok, maybe Snapchat, YouTube, the School of Hard Knocks. I love that guy. Okay. He goes around and kind of bullies his way into talking to very successful multimillionaires and billionaires about their business success and has no qualms about asking them how much money they've made, the most money they've made in a year, tips that they've had. And one of those common tips that he gets is self-development, reading books, and also having a system, right? Having a system, and then also hiring good people to run that system for you. In a small business, you're a talent scout. In a big business, you're a talent scout as well. But no matter what, if you're a business owner, you're a talent scout. You're looking for good people. A book very related to this is why do C students work for why do A students work for C students? You know, there's a quote from Bill Gates. I went to college with this guy. I got a C in the class. He got an A in the class. Now he works for me over at Microsoft, right? Like you've got to be a very good talent scout. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. In fact, you definitely should not be. You should surround yourself with greater people. And I can tell you honestly, with with everybody that works on the Pino team, they're all better at something than I am. Okay. Now there might be parts of the business that I'm the best at, and that's why I'm teaching them. Okay. But they are, I can look at every single one of them and see that they're better at something than me. And I want to find that. I want to find something that somebody is better at than me, because that's who I want to work with. It's called the law of the lid, which I believe goes back to the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, is that most people never recruit or hire above their lid. They're looking for people that they can look down on subconsciously. I know they're not going to say it out loud, but you can see it in their activity. You want to find people that almost intimidate you, that want to work with you or for you. Okay. And that's part of building a small business into a big business. And then finally, I stands for investor, where you're using your money to create money. Okay. This is where net worth becomes a thing, right? You know, what's that common thing you hear about billionaires? Well, man, if they just gave one half of their wealth away, all these other people, like, their billions of dollars is not sitting in a checking account at the bank. That you're talking about their net worth. That money is working for them. Okay. They're putting it to work in businesses, and then they're moving that money around to effectively grow those businesses and grow their own personal wealth. Because why are you going into business? You need to get wealthy. You need to save your money if you're opening a business, because there's going to be trying times. Every business will be disrupted at some point. Every business will be disrupted at some point. Okay. Every business will. And so you don't know when that disruption is going to happen. And there's a good possibility that whatever business venture you're in right now, 10 years from now, could be disrupted by automation, AI. It becomes unnecessary at some point. Okay. Who cares if you've saved your millions and billions of dollars along the way? It's like, oh, well, the business no longer serves a purpose. I guess I can retire. But if you're dependent on that income, you're never going to get to that point. So you've got to save your money and then use that money to start to develop wealth. And that's where, wouldn't it just feel good to be a venture capitalist or an angel investor, where you see potential in a business and you can give them some seed money to help them grow? And then, number one, that money comes back to you, either in the form of profits from the company, or you have an exit strategy or something like that. Right? Now, the business that I have, I probably will never sell because I absolutely love it. I really do. I love what the Pinot team does. I really love every part of it, from the deep business side to the marketing being YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and stuff like that. I tell people if you want to connect with me personally, that's Instagram. I don't do any business on Instagram. That's for me to connect with my friends. Had a business, another business leader that wants to be my friend. Uh, like, hey, I'm on Facebook. I go, well, then don't connect with me. I'm all business on Facebook. On my public and personal page, it's all business. If you want to connect with me personally, Instagram. Well, I don't have an Instagram. Well, then we're not going to connect. Okay. Instagram is for my personal relationships. That's where that is. Okay. So, but yeah, Cash Flow Quadrant, great book, great thing to understand money. Understanding it's not just hourly or commission out there, residual income, profits, investment income, all kinds of great things that you learn in this book. So definitely, definitely go learn all the different ways to make money. Find one that you love. Okay. Faith over finance. Asad Faraj, great Christian guy. Met him several times. Got his number in my phone. Um, Assad, if you see this, thank you for the time that you've poured into me in the past. All of it has been implemented. And one of those things I taught, again, you need to be willing to admit when you do something and you're not too proud of, right? So I taught a faith and finances class at my church, and I very openly speak about this, so this isn't shocking to anybody. I wasn't happy with the result or the content, and I created it all. It looked good going in. I had fun doing it. At the end, I wasn't happy with the result. I wasn't, and so I deleted it. The pastor came, it's like, hey, we want to offer the class again. Not yet. I need to rework it. I wasn't happy with it. I needed to find a happy balance of teaching money and finance, and Assad did it. So I actually told the pastors at the church, if I do the class again, I'm probably even going to rename it to Faith Over Finance. And bless you, Assad was willing to record a video to intro us, intro the seminar when and if we ever do it again. And another book, it's sitting. So I've got this shelf right here, and I know you can't see it, but on there's a stack of books on the top. That book is sitting right there right now with a bunch of highlights in it, a bunch of great scripture. And if I ever teach that class again, it's going to be this book. It's going to be this book. He did it better than I ever could. It's a great book. And there's a reason this one's last. I also believe that this exact same line is in Atomic Habits. So there's a good lift off right there. But I really wanted to bring home this line. So this is more of a sales pitch for Atomic Habits rather than one single push up, but I think you'll get value out of both. Okay. Is one single push up. Let's say you want to start working out. A lot of people do it wrong. Number one, after the hangover is over on January 2nd, they go sign up for a gym membership. They go in there, they spend 3 hours, and then they can't walk the next day, and they pay for that membership for the next 9 months until they finally cancel that card because they don't have the intestinal fortitude to walk back in there and cancel the membership. But what if I told you, instead of going out and planning this big 3-hour workout, what if I told you, go over there and do one push-up, just one. And you get down, you do one push-up. What's your first thought? You said it out loud, didn't you? I can do more. And whether you can do 3 more or 300 more, go do more. But just do one. Do one jumping jack. Run 1 meter. You know, do something. Yeah, I'll pull out metric, right? Do one thing. I see so many people overthink their business, and they spend a lot of time thinking instead of doing. And they're obsessed with steps B through Z instead of just step A, starting. Do your one push-up, make that one phone call, have that one conversation, make your first sale, recruit your first teammate, hire your first staff member. Just do one. And I bet you'll believe you can do more. I hope you got a lot out of this. Even more, I hope you do something what you heard here today. The biggest way you can support me in this video, there's 2 ways. Number 1, pay attention to the ads because they're offering what we do. But subscribe. Be humble enough to subscribe. Be humble enough to like the video. Be humble enough to share it. Be humble enough to leave a comment. Whether you liked it or hated it, we're going to have a great conversation. Thank you so much for your time today. Truly, truly. I appreciate you. I appreciate the time that you've invested today. You could have done a lot of things, but if you're hearing this message, it meant you spent some time with me today. And that's the only thing we don't get more of is time. And so I thank you for spending that time with me today. And I can already tell I'm going to like this video a lot more than the one I did yesterday. So I feel better. I hope you have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next video.